back to another episode of Gotham City Chronicles. Tonight we're talking Robin Year One. As always, I got my man, Comic Books NYC, Kavi, hanging out with me. What's going on, my friend?
Yo, shit. Can I curse on here? I'm good. I'm all right. You know, I'm like so delirious that I forgot to wear a Batman hat, but I guess it's not a Batman story, so like it's acceptable.
There you go. No, I mean he's in it, but he's background character.
Yeah.
Supporting cast.
It's arguably a Batman story, but I think it's he's in it. He's in it more than I expected him to be in it, I guess.
Really?
If I had any comment about that, but we'll get into that, I guess.
Yeah. And tonight we got a man fresh off his X-Men show showing he has knowledge of Marvel and DC. We got No Good Comics. What's going on, Justin?
Oh man, I don't know if I have knowledge of either of those names that you had mentioned, but yeah, thank you guys for having me on here, man. I'm excited because I feel like I remember like seeing when you guys kicked this show off, and every time I'm like,
3 years ago.
Yeah. No, it was, and I just remember thinking like I try to chime in, but I never read Batman, and I'm like, man, it's just not a show for me. Like I just obviously love you guys, but like I'd be lost otherwise, and I was just so focused with other things. But as maybe you know, maybe you don't, I've fully gotten into DC now, especially thanks to Nightwing and thanks to Tom Taylor. That's really pulled me over to where I love Nightwing. Right. So this was like
a good story for you then.
Perfect. Yeah. So this really opened up a lot, just, not we'll go into details, but really just to get an understanding of his past, his relationships with Alfred, Bruce. And as you mentioned, I was going to say, yes, Batman is, he's kind of in this, but he's in this a lot. And I mean, I know they're two different people. Batman, but yeah, so, but good stuff. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Nice. Well, we had Coach Vic hanging out with here saying he hadn't read this one, but he loved Batman Year One. I will say this is not Batman
Year One, best Batman story of all time.
But yeah, that's the best Batman story of all time.
Yeah,
but this is pretty good. We got John hanging out.
Yo.
Yeah.
Batman related.
Yeah, Batman related. I mean, he's in every issue. He makes appearances, but yeah, it's mostly this is a Robin focus, and it's one I remembered really loving, but I couldn't have told you much about it before I reread it because it had been so long since I had read it. So, Kavi, this was your first read. I know you're, a little weird.
Yeah, first read and immediately following my first read of Batgirl Year One on the last episode, which I guess that was a sequel to this, and so this is. So this almost felt like this almost felt like a prequel to that, even though that wasn't the intention. This came out first, and that came out second. But that's the order I've experienced them in. So that's kind of
So similar team.
Same writer, right? Same writer.
Yeah, same writer. And then Marcos Martin was kind of the backup penciler in this, and then he took over for Batgirl Year One. So
right.
Because Javier Pulido did the most of the art in this. So
right. And he did the covers also, right, with Robert Campanella on inks, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I see the JPRC in like the little square box on every cover.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's there.
I'm assuming that's them. Yeah. So, what did you think? What's your first impression of this?
Let's go, Justin first.
Yeah, Justin. What was your first impression?
I really enjoyed it. And I think a lot of it has to do with, again, just me being so new to the character, Nightwing, well, before Nightwing, but Dick Grayson, understanding more in depth of like where he came from. And not only that, but the adventures that he gets into with Batman and Bruce, the combination of that, and really seeing their relationships. And then of course, Alfred, I think he's probably the bigger character here mixed in with Robin. But just really emotional stuff. And I really enjoyed overall everything from the artwork, as we talked a little bit about. It definitely like continued to grow on me throughout the series. I want to go back now and read just some of the other ones that you guys have covered of like Batgirl and some of the others. But in terms of the story, like I thought it was great. I just thought it was genuinely really enjoyable. I would recommend this to anybody. And again, I think this is a great point for anybody who, even if you're not familiar with the characters at all, I mean, you can jump into this. Obviously, if you just know Batman and he has a butler, I think that's all you really need to understand. And that's it. But like, I thought this was great. If anything, I wish I read this before I read Tom Taylor's Nightwing in a way. I mean, I don't, you don't need to, but just like, it is nice to, get some of those, especially like with the letter and stuff like that from Tom Taylor's writing. Like that stuff is even heavier now, I'm sure, now that I can kind of see a little bit more of a relationship. But overall, really enjoyed this series as a whole, and I would definitely recommend it to others.
Nice. Yeah, this is obviously, I'm very biased. Dick Grayson's is my favorite character. And so I love this. I do love that. And it's funny because of when this was written, some of the stuff that like they set up here from his early years is things that actually had already happened like later in like the relationship like between him and Two-Face. They like reference that something happened early and like did several other things, and then this actually tells the story later. And it was like this actually came out after they told the follow-up. So it's kind of like interesting and fun, but like, yeah, I really enjoy it. I love the dynamic. I love the way Alfred is used in this. That's probably my favorite part of the whole thing is how they use Alfred as kind of like how torn he is about like not wanting Dick to take.
So I'm gonna say something controversial. That's really the only thing I liked about it. So that's like the thing I liked about it is the whole Alfred angle of it. I felt like the rest of it for me was weird because I kept trying to tie it into things that I'd read in Batgirl Year One, which came out right after, and I read that first.
Oh.
And my head was also messed up for other reasons. So I felt like at times that I was reading that book again, and then I was like, wait a minute, what book is this again? And I kind of, so anytime the dialogue came back around to Alfred, I felt like grounded again and realized, and like I knew where I was at. But I like during a bunch of the Mad Hatter sequences and during a bunch of sort of some of the other like villain sequences that occurred in this, I got like confused and lost a little bit. But that could have had more to do with the health issues that I've been experiencing versus, the actual story. I don't know.
Right.
So, it's kind of hard. It's really hard for me to give an honest review of it because I was all over the place reading this. I've been in the ringer lately. So, yeah.
So you've been dealing with
that said, I think it's like I would be curious to see what I would have thought of it if I had read it first prior to Batgirl, because I'm a bigger fan of Barbara Gordon than I am of Dick Grayson. So for me, I know you're a huge fan of both, JP, but like for me, Barbara Gordon is like far above my fandom of Dick Grayson. Just based on what the characters are and the experience I've had reading the characters and my exposure to the characters. I'm much more of a Batman guy, number one, and then probably a Batgirl, number two, as far as this universe. Robin's probably further down my list. Like I probably even have some villains and stuff like that I like more than Robin. So I've never really sort of leaned into or towards Robin / Nightwing stories. Just not something. It just hasn't really been part of my like reading regimen over the years, I guess. That said, I think everything about it made sense. I wasn't as big of a fan of the art compared to the art by Marcos Martin in Batgirl Year One, and I didn't realize I didn't realize he transitioned from this to that at some point as the backup penciler in this. I didn't really notice.
Well, he just did a few pages in this, like, but
so he wasn't, he wasn't really heavily involved in this, but he was definitely the main artist, very heavily involved in Batgirl Year One, and I much prefer. And I'm very art centric, as everybody knows, so that's why if I'm just doing a straight up comparison, I enjoyed Batgirl Year One more than this, but I'm not saying this was bad, but I probably don't have as glowing of a review as you guys on this compared to that, I guess.
Yeah. I will say that this being 4 issues, I think like the Batgirl one, they do a better job of telling her, or because I mean, it's more of an origin for her. He's already like in the suit, functioning, and these are just kind of 4 early adventures, like really. So I think there is more,
right? Because Robin's origin was told, like long ago.
There's more character development for her in Batgirl Year One than there is in this. But Justin didn't read that, so we'll focus on this.
Yeah.
I want to. It's on my list.
No, it's a good one. I mean that one was a lot longer than this one, right? Unless
it's like 7 issues.
These had longer issues, but there were only 4 issues. That one had like 12 issues or something. The Batgirl. Year one,
7 or 8, I think is all.
Was it 8?
9.
Okay.
Maybe it's 9. Something like that.
I don't know why I thought it was 12, but it was definitely a lot more than the 4 here. So I mean, those are just surface level kind of thoughts, though.
This is what I was excited for, though, too, is to hear both of your takes on this particular book, knowing how much history that you have with all these characters versus where I'm at, and I'm kind of bringing in this fresh new perspective at the same time. So I like hearing what you guys have to say.
I think that whole dilemma that Alfred continues to bring up throughout the whole thing about how, is what Bruce is doing by bringing a kid into all this a smart thing? Like, is it the best? Is it the best thing for this kid? Is it the best thing for the? I mean, is it as good for Bruce as it as good for Dick? Like all those sort of, I don't know, like philosophical passages in Alfred's diary, I guess, is what that's pulling from, right? Like his diary that no one's supposed to read or whatever.
Right.
I thought that was like the strongest material by far, the best content.
And I think it's probably in a lot of ways the most important material in this because you think about this story and the Batman and Robin story, and like Bruce is completely irresponsible throwing a 13, because I mean Dick's 13 years old when this start. Like the original thing was like 13, 14 years old when this starts. Like when he starts being Robin. And to bring a kid that age into what he's doing without the level of, like, think about how long, like, according to the story, Bruce trained for like a decade to do this.
Right.
Dick trains for like a few months. And he's 13 years old. And it's just like, so it does bring a good
There's no way he could get Jedi powers that quickly.
But I think it's a good balance that you have to have, that somebody is having this conversation of like, do I need to step in here? Like, and what's Alfred's role? Like, because Alfred feels like he's responsible for both of them. And it's just like, trying to find the right balance.
Yeah, and Kavi, what you said before too about that aspect of the story being the anchor, even while the rest of it was kind of wishy-washy throughout, I agree that definitely is the anchor to this.
Because I could barely name the other plots.
No, right. Like I felt that home.
I'll have to whip out the iPad and look through the issues to remember like everything else.
Yeah. No, but it definitely brought you back every time he came back in with the letters. Yeah, that was a very strong point for sure.
I mean, in some ways, it's telling an overarching story, but it's really 4 issues. It's a Mad Hatter story, it's a Two-Face story, it's a Mr. Freeze story, and it's a Shrike, who's the last guy. That like, all of which like come back and play a role. Like Chuck Dixon was writing. Like,
was that alter ego that Dick took up as like, what was it, Freddy something? What was his name?
I don't know that that's ever been
used again. Was that ever used again or reused somewhere else, or was that a reference to something?
Not that I remember.
Okay, all right.
That was random. I was curious about that.
Yeah.
But the kid, like the other kid that like
takes him in,
the one that was like
goes to the League of Assassins, comes back as Shrike. Takes that name of the guy that was training them and comes back later.
Oh, okay.
So they have faced off later. Yes.
Cool. That's cool.
So,
I know you mentioned before Mr. Freeze is kind of like the 3rd issue. I kind of just envisioned the 3rd issue as like the recovery issue. Yeah. More or less, right? For everything that I know we'll go into details, but But yeah, I mean, Freeze is in there. Joker's in there even for.
Yeah, I feel like Freeze
is
in there, but I couldn't tell you what he did or what happened.
Right.
Like with Freeze.
Well, he just gets, you see like a couple of times, like Robin, he's going out on his own here, like probably for the first time during this. Like most of these are the first time he kind of tries to do things on his own.
Right,
like,
after he's left the mansion.
Well, both
that, right?
like after he leaves the mansion, and then
they
also
say leave
like,
in that issue. Is that the issue he leaves?
As he's recovering, yeah, that's the issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, because he's all banged up. He's all like beat up.
Well, yeah, because after Two-Face almost kills him, Bruce is like, no more. And
I love how
Bruce overreacts.
I love how he saves. I love how he saves face with Gordon. And he's like, believe me, he stayed home that night.
Yeah. And he calls him out though. He's like, liar.
Like, you're lying.
He's got
you're
the blunt bat.
Right
yeah. I love that scene. That was actually a scene.
That was a great scene. Gordon was good. I thought Gordon was pretty good also as a I don't know, best supporting actor kind of way.
Yeah, totally. Well, he was also like a father figure too, like also caring for the kid.
Exactly.
And he's like threatening Batman. He's like, if anything happens to him, like I'm coming back at you. If
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that also shows like the tentative relationship between particularly him and Batman, particularly this early on, is like, okay, you're doing good things. I'm tolerating you.
Yes.
To help me with these criminals, but you're now putting a kid at risk. If you screw this up, I'm going to have no choice but to come after you. And, that's the message he's sending him. And you can see like Bruce, he's so like, because he goes back and forth, let's do this. And then he's like, oh, nope, you're done. And it's like, well, what did you think was going to happen? Eventually he was going to get hurt. It's like, you've been hurt.
Yep.
It's just like, yeah. Well, let's actually dig into this. We've been talking a lot just in general terms.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what do you guys think of the first story here with Mad Hatter, where we kind of see Bruce is kind of indisposed at this gala thing, and Dick like basically doing the investigation of on his own, figuring out what's going on, who's behind this. And go ahead, Justin.
I mean, to me, it really helped get an idea more of what Dick Grayson was like in terms of like his curiosity, wanting to like, one, wanting to help, and two, his curiosity to like really be detective and try to figure out, as we get deeper into this particular issue, like what's going on, especially because he knows the girl that's been captured by Hatter. And I've never seen that side of him. I mean, I know he's a good person. He wants to do good always. But again, being as new as I am, it was like a kid. I mean, he's a kid, right? So he's just like doing what we think of as a kid. He's just getting into trouble kind of. And it, some of it works out, some of it doesn't. But I like the setup for that. I think it was a good setup issue to kind of dive in, give you an idea of, who he is as a character, while also getting set up for the Two-Face story.
Yeah. And I think it does serve mostly as a setup, at least to me, of, where he's at as Robin, as in like, okay, he's been Robin for a little while, but he's still pretty new. This is kind of him venturing out on his own for the first time, because you see Batman is not super happy that he did it, was going to punish him. And then like Alfred's like, dude, he did good. What, you can't punish him.
You're punishing him for doing a good job. Yeah.
So just because he did it on his own, he did a good job. So it was kind of, but I do think it sets up their dynamic really well. Like, but again, it's not, you're not getting the level of character development you got in the other. But
I mean, I'm with Justin on the sort of, because I haven't read much Nightwing / Robin only stuff. I've only read him in the Batman stuff and the Justice League and other things.
Right.
Not only, but for the most part,
Right.
So I actually enjoyed like the scenes of like Dick Grayson in like high school or whatever. I think it was high school. Like I like enjoyed those scenes probably like more than the rest of the issue.
I actually think technically he's in junior high.
I think middle school.
High? Okay, junior high. Yeah.
Or whatever they call it now. They call
middle school? Is that what's called?
Middle school, yeah.
Middle
like, he's like 7th, 8th grader at this point.
Right. I feel like we're all so old. We're like, what do the kids call it nowadays? The middle school?
Well, they changed it. You know, I'm an old man. What do you want from me?
Yeah, no, it was a cool angle to kind of see some of the behind this or the regular day to day.
But you know, the whole plot with like the Mad Hatter and the radio signal and the zombie girls, like I was like, you know, like really, I felt like I was trudging through those parts of the.
Like I won't disagree. The threat here is kind of. It's not minor to those girls, but it's minor to him in a way.
Yeah,
right.
But it's also sort of appropriate. Like they couldn't throw him against the Joker.
That's true. Yeah.
Like the Mad Hatter is a little bit like Batgirl fighting Killer Moth to start with, and the other one, like,
right? It's like minor threat number 1 to kick off the story arc.
Yeah, it's a little bit of minor threat number 1, an investigation that's realistic for him to figure out and have a stake in because he knows one of the girls. And so from that perspective,
it led them to a father-son moment where he's like, "I'm proud of you, son."
Well, we got 2 father-son moments. We got like Alfred, you know, educating Bruce, and then Bruce and Dick having a nice father-son moment, and then again we get, like you said, the tie-in at the end. Alfred, you know, making his notes and his thoughts about this.
Yeah, he's kind of like. He kind of changes over time throughout the book of his thoughts on how he feels with Dick Grayson joining, right? Like in this very beginning issue, he's very much, like you mentioned, like just kind of questioning, like, why is he doing this? Should he be here? And he's concerned for the boy. Like, is he going to like this life? Like, is this going to be something for him? Like, this is rough. But as even like at the end of that issue, he kind of opens up a little more to like, okay, maybe this is doable. Maybe this is something that can work. Yeah, so I thought that was interesting.
And then the next issue, I think, which is to me the big one of the 4.
I think it's the best issue.
Rude Awakening.
It's the best issue for me.
I was shocked. I was in the ending. I was shocked. I was like, damn, this got heavy quick.
Yeah, so we get Two-Face basically targeting realizes, Batman has a weakness, like in targeting the boy and, you know, putting the boy in a situation. And you get and part of it is Batman actually knows Two-Face is a next level threat compared to what they've been dealing with as a team, and actually tries to make him set it out.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah. And which you could get, like he would do like with the Joker or whatever. Like, no, you're not going on this one. And, you know, Dick being over eager and a kid and like, oh no, I can do this.
Yeah,
doesn't set it out. And
I was a little freaked out when Killer Moth opened the book for like.
Yeah, they did throw. Apparently,
I was like, really? No, not again.
Yeah, because we do see Killer Moth briefly.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, and then I remembered Batgirl, and I was like, wait, which story is this again? You know?
That was kind of I get that.
Yeah, because spoiler alert. I mean, he's a big part of the Batgirl Year One story, I guess. You know, big is debatable, but it's part of it.
I just like that there were a mixture of all these different characters that I've never really had the opportunity to read about, even though they are just short, quick battles. Like I pulled up this one, and it's still within the same like issue here, but these scenes here where he's fighting this big dude, the little, what's he called?
Blockbuster?
Oh, is that Oh yeah. So this was like that. Right. So I wanted to ask you just, so this is Blockbuster from like the Tom Taylor stuff, JP?
Okay, so
because I was like,
background on this character, they did. I think it's fun that they threw him in because Blockbuster at this time, Chuck Dixon wrote the '90s Nightwing run, and Blockbuster was his main villain.
Yeah,
but when Blockbuster first appeared, he was dumb. He didn't have any when he became this, he lost his intelligence. He just became a dumb brute.
Right.
Like somewhere along the line, he basically gets like really smart. Like he gets so he changes as a character, but
to
it was
where he is now.
They threw him in the early years as what he was before he became super smart.
Yeah.
So yes, it's the same. It's the same guy though. Yes.
So that's like, it really took me by when I'm reading this. I'm like, wait a second, like is that, it doesn't quite look like him, but maybe I just don't know what he went through, or so that is cool, and
It
I
does
like
look a
that.
little different, but yeah, the design's a
Definitely.
little different.
But he was like he's like a grunt, so I'm like,
he
well,
also shows up in the Batgirl book as well. So
he does.
That's another thing that reminded me of the Batgirl book. I was like, oh, okay.
Also with this same sequence, I just like that I don't know if this is common for Nightwing, but just the way they show him jumping around, and they show like the lighter versions of him as he's like making these leaps and spinning and flipping. I know that Tom Taylor, that's been done a lot in the new stuff, but JP, is that common for Nightwing in general?
Artists really try to take advantage of his acrobatic background, even more so than the other Robins. Like try to like,
so it's really, like his thing in a way,
because it's his thing. That's where he comes from. The way he fights. Most artists do try to use that to their advantage, to put him in weird and fun poses, and like the way he bounces off of things, and
okay. So I was wondering if that's always stuck with him, or if that was, I actually was wondering if that was like a Bruno Redondo thing, like initially, like the way he kind of does that. I know other artists have done somewhat similar, but to me that really stood out. So, but it was cool to see it here in this book.
It's a pretty common theme with him.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Yep. Because they take advantage of what his history is, where he comes from. He comes from the circus. He was in trapeze artist, and he's used to doing spins and flips and that kind of stuff. So they use a lot of that when they can to kind of make his fights showy, like to make them to make the panels look cool and that kind of stuff.
It's cool. So, it's totally cool. Yeah.
But I think the middle of this issue to the end of the issue is this like I don't know, somewhere around page 19, 20 to the end is the best portion of this whole run to me. Like starting with the Batman, Gordon, and Robin, rooftop conversation about where Gordon's like, why is he still around? What's going on? All the way to the end where he's like brutalized by Two-Face. That's a real strong, like, I think, I don't know,
I think
an act or sub-act, within the act. Yeah.
Yep.
So, well, I mean, basically they set up the first part of the issue is him like dealing with some minor villains and succeeding and being a little overconfident. And then they get faced with when Gordon calls him for Two-Face, and and Gordon basically calls him out on why is he still here, and it's your call, but I'm going to drop the whole line about, but if any harm comes to them, God help me, I will drop from you on a great height. He's like, and we get Batman basically going, you know what? I think you should stand down for this one. I'm asking you to stand down, and Dick not. I mean,
that was a mistake.
He can't help himself.
Yeah, he can't help him. He's like, I'm your partner, and and basically Two-Face sets him up to like catch them both, and it's really well done. Like he plays on both of their instincts to save people, to catch them, and puts Dick in this tough situation, like basically after they're caught.
That's my favorite page of art.
That was
of the whole
because it's
book.
just the scarred side of Two-Face, and the gallows.
I mean, I'm partial to Two-Face though. Like I think he's pretty much my top rogue, I would say. Like I love his stories. Or Harvey Dent in general, but
to me, he's definitely somewhat underutilized, but he's in a lot of the really big best Batman stories. Like, so it's fun.
Yeah, I even like the courtroom scene in the beginning before Batman and Robin show up.
When they first catch the judge.
Yeah, like that whole thing really allowed me to see more dark sides of Two-Face, essentially. Which again, I'm still I've always known him from the movies and stuff, but never really seen him even to this level of like how dark he could get, and crazy and like kind of like wacky,
Go back and read Year One, Long Halloween,
and
several key Batman storylines that are always referenced in like the top 10 Batman storylines of all time, and 80% of them are highly Two-Face centric.
Oh man, okay, yeah. Well, I was gonna read Long Halloween soon. Actually,
the best is the Long Halloween is the best, probably Two-Face story.
Okay. I would agree.
Long Halloween followed by Dark Victory is kind of a two-parter.
Long Halloween, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So, but yeah, the whole thing, he catches this judge, but it's funny, like he has revenge against this judge, but it's really still just about setting up.
Yeah, it's a small game. It's a small side thing.
A small side game to set up this opportunity to get it Batman through Robin.
Yeah. Poor guy. Not even the main reason for the pain that he's being caused.
Yeah.
Kind of brutal.
So what do we think about the whole sequence where basically he tries to make Robin play the game, and to a certain degree Robin foolishly does play the game with the coin flipping and trying to save people, and
I think it played in perfectly to what you would think a teenage kid would do in that scenario, he's scared, not sure what's happening. Right. And he thinks that he thinks he has it, and like you were saying earlier, like he just defeated all these other villains. He's a little bit more upbeat about feeling good about himself, and some of the things that he's doing, the decisions he's making. So I think that played into it. But yeah, for him to kind of go into Two-Face's game, it obviously backfired, but I think it just played perfectly into what you would really expect that would happen.
Yeah, and then we get the not the.
I mean, I like that half splash of Two-Face with Batman.
As he's about to,
yeah.
He's about to like finish him off, basically.
Yeah, and that's when Batman enters the scene, I guess.
Yeah, basically, instead of
on the page before is like where he does like,
the brutal beating,
stuff.
Just seeing those like whoomp thump. I was surprised. I'm reading this. I really was like taken by this. Like, damn,
and then I
didn't know it would go like this.
Yeah. But no, it's instead of the crowbar that Joker uses on Jason Todd, it's a baseball bat. But it's almost as brutal. I mean, it's just And I do enjoy, like, you're getting the sound effects, but you're actually like you're not getting what he's doing to Dick during this. You're seeing Batman's face. Batman scramble to try to free himself.
Yep, like, he's so angry and
his desperation.
Yeah, that was very effective. Those 2 pages, especially. Yeah.
His desperation, which sets up that panel that Kavi just showed of trying to get there and save him. And and basically, knocks him out, and then and then bails, and hopefully the police will catch him.
Right, and then they're back at the Batcave, essentially, like trying to save Robin's life.
That last page,
the page of Alfred.
Right.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say that. Yeah, that final panel.
Yeah, the one where he's like, although I looked at this page, maybe it's just because I was all messed up, but I looked at this page, this final splash here, this stinger or whatever. Yep. And for the life of me, I was like, where is Batman's right leg? And I was like, wait, I just see one leg. And then I didn't see like the other leg like kind of disappearing into the car there. Like,
he's still stepping out of the car.
Yeah, because he's stepping out of the car. But like upon first glance, I was just like,
it totally.
Like, where's
now that you say that, it does look that way.
I didn't notice it either, but yeah, it definitely does.
I was like, what am I looking at? Yeah. I don't know. There may have been some other kind of like artistic touch to better, I guess, explain the movement of him getting out of the car, because I just saw it as him standing up holding Robin with one leg.
Yeah.
No,
you're not wrong.
I was like, I don't know. All right.
The end of that issue, I think, is definitely like the whole thing with Two-Face is awesome, but I just love those last 2 pages because it's basically Alfred preparing to admit that he's wrong, that maybe this having Master Richard go out with him is a good idea, and him doing this is a good idea, and I pray I won't be proven wrong. And then
they literally pull up.
And literally the next panel. It's really effective.
It's so well done. It really is perfect. Yeah.
I mean, that's a trope that you see a lot in TV shows and stuff, where like a character is like kind of like having a self monologue, and then in the immediate next scene, that monologue is contradicted.
Right.
It's a good writing tool or
trick
that I've seen used pretty effectively.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah. All right, so we're on to the third issue essentially.
Yeah. Third issue.
I can't load for some reason on my iPad. It's like crapping out on me here.
So basically, the start of it is Two-Face with Gordon claiming the boy is dead, and Gordon taking the bat and marching up to the signal.
Oh yeah.
And you know, there's going to be hell to pay, basically. And Bruce refusing to take him to a hospital, instead taking him to Leslie.
Oh yeah, no hospitals.
Yeah, you know, because can't give away the secret.
So this might be silly, but I'm not very familiar with Leslie. Is that a common character for?
So
yeah,
Leslie Tompkins is an old friend of Bruce's dad. She worked at the hospital with him. Like his dad was a doctor.
Okay.
So she's a friend of the family, and yes, she knows. She's the one that patches him up all the time.
And also kind of friend with Gordon as well. And
okay. Does she know that Batman and Bruce are one and the same as well? Okay.
She's in the loop.
Got it.
She's one of the few people that's really been in the loop. I don't know. I'm curious. Do you know when she was actually introduced, Cobby?
Not off the top of my head, but I'm guessing maybe one of the 80s books. I don't think she is. I don't know if she's a Golden Age character.
I couldn't remember. That's what I was wondering.
I'll look it up.
I know she's been around since like the 80s. I'm almost positive. She's been around since I can remember reading.
Okay.
Yeah.
I assume there was some deeper backstory.
Okay, actually, Detective Comics 457, 1976.
Okay.
So that is created by Denny O'Neil and Dick Giordano. So 1970, she's been around since 1976, I guess. So.
Okay. So yeah, she's been around for not since the beginning, but for a long time. Bronze Age.
Right.
So
like, that era of, late Bronze Age Batman, I don't have as much reading experience with versus the 80s and since.
Okay.
So I kind of primarily remember her from the 80s stuff, the Frank Miller stuff, all that.
Got it. I was trying to think. I was like, this is not one of the characters they've ever used in a film, right? They're not like Lucius Fox or anything like that.
I think she may have had a cameo or something potentially.
Okay,
but I'm not
nothing like
that.
I don't think she's been a main character.
She was in the Gotham show.
Yeah, that's it. The Gotham show.
Oh, okay.
She was played by Marina Baccarin from Firefly and other movies and stuff.
Deadpool. Okay. Deadpool's girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly. The girlfriend.
He played her.
Okay.
A younger version, obviously.
She was in the Batman the Animated Series as well, the cartoon show.
Oh, okay.
She's in that a lot.
Yeah, she's in that a lot. So, yeah. What's up, Toms?
Hey.
So we get the confrontation of Gordon to Batman, basically like asking what happened to the boy and calling him on his lie. That
page 10 there with the bat, when he's pointing the bat at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, love that whole page. That whole page is so good.
Yeah, don't lie to me. Mm-hmm. This isn't Harvey Dent's blood. He's like, Robin's alive. Show me. You have to trust me on this. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, like he says, I give you my word. He's like, this doesn't really mean much right now.
He's like, that used to mean something.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Focus. Yep. And it's like,
yeah, so good.
But he's basically saying that he's retired and
that he'll live.
Yeah. And then we get the conversation where Bruce basically says, "You're retired." And Nick's like, "Wait, what?"
From when he wakes up there.
Yeah. Oh, you just come out of your coma. You're retired.
I like the dream sequence right before that page too.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how that looks from a physical paper standpoint. Mine was probably. Yeah, go ahead, JP. I'll bring yours up.
I get to change the thing.
Oh, okay. So it covers just across 2 pages. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading this digitally, but yeah, this was definitely just a cool insight to getting,
I read it. I was reading digitally also, so I don't have a trade paperback for it or anything. But.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I think issue 3 is kind of like the weaker issue. Art wise, I would say. I think it's the one that stands out the least to me art wise, but there's just less dramatic moments also with Robin sort of out of commission, I guess, for half the issue, I would say.
Yeah, I mean half of it's him recovering.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So.
And we do get, and okay, like on the digital version, is his costume like what is with his costume? When did Mr. Freeze have a green and red and yellow costume?
Which page was that?
Yeah, it's he's an elf.
Oh, yeah. I guess is that the original? When he was before he was actually Mr. Freeze. What was he?
21 copy, page 21.
21.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have page numbers in this, so. When he's robbing the hospital, like just that costume is like weird. I don't think of that as Mr. Freeze, but
he's one of Santa's helpers there.
Yeah. When he's stealing the blood from the blood bank. Yeah.
Right.
I love all the goons. They have to wear their jackets because they can't stand the cold. Clever. Again, this is all like new. Like I never really read any Mr. Freeze either, so it's a nice, and not that it's like a detailed story of him or anything, but just a little.
He's really just,
more of a cameo kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, he's serving the purpose of, even though he's retired, he's like not gonna stop. Like Bruce can make him retire, but he's down this road, and he basically
he wants to help.
Yeah, and he basically manages to take out Freeze and all his goons by himself. And
that's what I like too. Is it showed that he's good. Like he's good at what he does. Even though he's a kid, he's making some mistakes here and there. He still can do some really impressive things, and that kind of reminds Bruce, like he still has, talents of what he does for what he pulls off here in some of these books.
Yeah. And he basically tricks Mr. Freeze and manages to catch him, and then has his moment with Gordon. So Gordon does get to see that he's alive.
That's right.
But yeah, this was really just about him making the decision to leave. Like that he's like...
Yeah, and you know what? I think he made one crucial mistake. He left before he could have the crab stuffed mushrooms that Alfred was going to make him. Because as soon as I got to that, I was like, oh man, I'm hungry. Crab stuffed mushrooms by Alfred. How could you leave?
Alfred was trying to make you dinner, kid. What are you doing?
Rookie.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Another rookie mistake.
I do really like the back and all these little scenes of when Jim Gordon comes back in. I think it's just a really cool way to kind of tell this portion of the story, and you see it over time. Yeah,
I like that. I like that they had their own scenes without Batman.
Yeah. Yep.
That was good. Yeah. So it wasn't always like being a middleman.
Right.
Yeah, he gets to actually talk to him. They get to have a conversation themselves, and I love how he's just literally done vigilante work, and he's like, I'm out of the vigilante business.
Like I don't think you understand the definition of vigilante.
From there, this is where we kind of see him run into the new group, right?
Yeah,
we see him run into the new group, but we also get the scene of Alfred waiting on Bruce.
Oh yeah,
and reading him.
Well, that's because like 8 pages before that, he's like, I prepared my crab stuffed mushrooms. And then 7 pages later, it's Alfred on a chair. Like, he's gone.
Well, yeah,
Copy's like, oh, we're going to see some good food.
Come home and find the letter.
Yeah.
And basically, I don't think the crab stuffed mushrooms ever got
No, they never appeared. I was disappointed.
So the truth is, Kavi he totally checked out after this point, and that's why he didn't like this. Yeah, he's like, this is a silly story. What a silly story! I'm not reading the rest of
this. I'm out.
Exactly.
You know,
I don't think I've ever had crab stuffed mushroom, by the way, in my life. It sounds amazing, but
it sounds amazing for sure.
I never had it, so I'm not eating that fancy, guys. Not eating that fancy.
I'll make Kavi jealous. I have had those.
Oh, you have had those?
They're good.
I'm sure they're good. Yeah, I'm sure they're great. Yeah, I'm sure they're amazing.
So what did you guys think of the letter? And basically, you know, you don't want a partner, you don't need a son. I'm sorry I failed you. I'm out.
Was the letter at the beginning of issue 4 or the end of issue 3?
Issue 3.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's at the end of issue 3.
Oh, I like how it was told. Meanwhile, it's being told in the yellow boxes, but meanwhile, it's kind of showing him out in the street now already. Yeah. He's near a bunch of okay. You know, people near bonfires and stuff. I always like that kind of storytelling, the kind of two things going on at once type thing.
Mm-hmm. And I just love the interaction, like, because the whole chapter ends with, or at least for Bruce and Alfred, it ends with Alfred going, "Have you nothing to say?" after he reads the letter, and Bruce turning around and going, "Harvey didn't escape."
Yeah.
It's another like, okay, let's change the plot.
He's totally being Bruce though, like,
yeah,
well, this is like more stone. Important, you know, right. Like
very stern, yeah,
just and Alfred, like, you just see Alfred's face when he does it. It's just like
he's so blank.
He's like, of course he did. Yeah,
he's just like, what is wrong with you?
Like, he should like right there would have been a quitting moment. You know?
which issue was it where there was an issue where Bruce, maybe it's issue 4 where where he says a line to Alfred where something like, "How does it feel to always be right?" or something like that. I like that. I don't know if that
he does say, where is that at? I think
that's issue 4.
Yeah. Is it issue 4 or is that when Alfred's or is it at the beginning when he's talking about like when he was going to get on to him in issue 1?
I don't know.
Oh, it might have been towards the beginning.
It's right
it may have been, but I just remember that being one of the standout lines in the Bruce and Alfred interaction in this issue.
He goes, "How does it feel to always be right, Alfred? Yeah. I strain under the burden, sir."
Yeah. A totally like hilarious Alfred response.
So basically the issue ends with him running into these other hoodlums and getting recruited into this assassin school, basically.
Yeah, did they have a gang name or was it just, did I miss that? Or
they did. I was trying to look for it again. It is mentioned.
It is mentioned, right? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I don't.
What is it?
All the stuff in like the prison with Mr. Minette and all this other stuff, I like glazed over reading that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just setting up who this guy is that's running the school, that he's some kind of assassin and why he's in town and doing this. But that was kind of, it gets a little off the rails. We even get a little,
like that could have been done in one page instead of like 8.
Yeah,
you know.
And then we get like the joke, Batman visiting the Joker in Arkham, and it's like,
I didn't get that.
Do we need the Joker? Other than the only good part of that is like,
I like the chair, the chair part.
That is cool. He's like, don't even think about it, or whatever.
He tells the guard, he's.
When he's gonna hit him with the chair, but I just love the Joker's line at the end. When you catch old Double Trouble, remind him of something, will you? I call dibs when it comes to like.
Yo, what's up? 90 in the house. YouTube is not 90, but it is 180.
Wow, 90. Welcome, my friend.
What's up, Chad?
I've seen him forever. Awesome, Chad. Hope little 90's doing well.
You're the only one that appears on YouTube less than me nowadays, Chad.
Yeah, because even this goes back now, Kavi.
Right?
The part with the chair, going back to the Joker thing, I like where, like, after he says don't even think about it, and he like goes to close, and then he tells the guard, he's like, hey, he unbolted the chair, see that the furniture privileges are revoked. And Joker's in the back yelling, he says, it took me 3 weeks, I had to swallow the nuts. Don't ask me what I did with the bolts. It's just like it was like a random yet kind of clever like little ending to that. Like you're right. Overall, probably didn't need to even be in there, but like I think they just wanted to find an excuse to kind of include Joker.
Oh, the Joker exists here too.
Right. Meanwhile,
yeah, it just it felt
it's
like
random.
It just felt like it was just snuck in there to me. Like
yeah,
it was, maybe they got like an editor's note, like you got to work in the Joker here.
Maybe. It's like literally 2 pages, like not even.
Yeah.
Like you're not allowed to tell a Batman story without the Joker. It's like
I'm still trying to find the name when it's mentioned, but I cannot find it right now.
Oh yeah, I can't find it either. I was looking for it and then I kind of forgot. Actually, he maybe later says it when he's trying to rat him out to Alfred. Maybe not. I don't know. So what do you think of the scene where he goes to like kill Two-Face? Like the guy takes the contract to kill Two-Face, and instead of doing it, he sends these kids. Like he's worse than Batman.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Freddy Two Fingers or whatever his name. I don't know.
Freddy Two Fingers or whatever it is. Yeah,
whatever his name is. Freddy something.
Freddie Lloyd.
Freddie Lloyd.
Which the one guy's like.
Right. I don't know. It was.
I do enjoy that. Like when Two-Face tries to get him to play this time, he's like, "What's the matter, Freddy? Don't you want to play?" And he's like, "Nope, I don't want to play." And he's like, "Everybody plays," and that he refuses to play the game, and basically helps the other kid escape and has his opportunity.
Yeah.
Like to actually, get revenge or to kill Two-Face.
Yep.
And doesn't.
Behind a ninja mask. Behind a ninja outfit.
Yep.
Yeah. That was interesting.
Well, I think it just goes to show that like he doesn't want. That's not what he wants to be. Like, he has an opportunity, and he's still, Batman drilled it in. We don't kill, and and it's.
Yep.
And he's still trying to live by that code, and he actually goes back, and tries to lets him know what's going on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so that's what confused me a little, because I was also a little, off my rocker a little bit while reading this, but I was like a little confused whether that took place afterwards or if it was a flashback, like it was like a flashback happening in real time.
He gets in trouble because he doesn't go back right away.
Okay, so it isn't after.
And it does say in his letter to Bruce, Vengeance Academy is what the guy's calling it. Yeah.
Oh, Vengeance Academy. Wow.
Yeah.
That's very timely. Nice. Vengeance. Yo, what's up, Perry?
Freddy Two Fingers is better.
Freddy Two Fingers is better. I came up with that off the top of my head, man. This is the magic you get on GCC. Freddy Two Fingers.
I didn't like seeing the dogs get shot. That wasn't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of sad.
Yeah, I was like, oh man. I do like how the guy was testing the boys a little earlier, and he's like, all right, your final test now, and he pulls the fire alarm or whatever. That was fun.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, crap.
Like he makes him break into someplace. He's already in there, and then they have to get out.
Yeah. He basically is like, all right, you guys.
But on that, when Batman finally does enter the scene to kind of he doesn't really save the day or whatever, but he kind of
not really. He kind of gets his butt kicked a little bit too.
Yeah, he makes his presence known or whatever. I was a little disappointed with the his name is Robin. He's my partner. I was hoping he would say he's my son or something, like something a little more emotional. But I guess partner makes sense. I guess partner's enough.
At this stage, I think partner is more the truth. But it's kind of like, you hypocrite, you ran him off.
Exactly.
Right.
He's your partner today. What about tomorrow?
Yeah, what the heck? And then, of course, Two-Face comes back in, and then, but yeah, it ends up with Dick kind of having to save Bruce a little bit, and
when he gets shot,
which you know, kind of saw that coming, you know, but it's appropriate. It makes sense.
Yeah. So he runs off.
You know, I do enjoy.
He runs off to, I guess, you know. Does that version show up in another storyline of that character?
Which version?
They leave Strike. They have Strike.
Strike is dead.
So that version is dead. Okay.
Yes, Two-Face shoots him.
Oh wait, so then who? Oh right, Strike's the older guy. Oh, so the kid is the one you said that takes over
later.
Okay. The kid goes off and you see
what was the kid's name?
Boone. I think his name was Boone.
This is Talia. So if you don't know, he goes to Talia al Ghul, the League of Assassins.
Oh my god,
this was coming from.
This confused the hell out of me. So I'm glad that you just clarified that.
Yeah, so he goes and becomes a member of the League of Assassins.
Okay, I'm like, because I was like,
I got that part.
Okay, did not get that. All right.
Yeah.
I was wondering who that was. I was like, wait, is that the guy? I was like, which guy? Who is that? Totally over my head there.
That's Boone, his friend.
Boone, yes.
To, join the League of Assassins.
So he's Strike later. He comes back.
Strike
okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Got it. Because I see him sitting there crying, and he's hiding behind those bricks when the real Strike dies, and Batman's bleeding, walking off with Robin or whatever.
So our final kind of interaction with Batman and Dick, and I do think, and this sets up so many of the issues that come later with Dick and why he ends up being Nightwing and leaving for the Titans and everything else, which is, if you put on that costume, you'll honor, you once swore an oath to me, if you put on the costume, you'll honor those words to the letter and never again question my orders. That only lasts for so long.
Yeah, it's what teenager hears that and listens?
And Alfred asked him, the decision is yours. I can do some good, and somebody's going to help him, which has always been kind of what one of his big motivations is. He wants to help him, and he wants to help it, and that's so. And then, of course, we do get you talked about the Batgirl year one set up, and we do get that at the end.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, that was great.
You get that little nod, and then the Gordon saying "not on your life" or whatever he says, right?
It's so good. It's so good.
And that he says the same. He used the same line in Batgirl Year One. So.
Yeah.
So should I go read that next?
That would be a logical book to read.
Right.
That would be a logical.
That goes right into it. Okay.
Yeah.
I would say, based on this book, having read this one. The two things I would say go read next would be Batgirl Year One to kind of get the follow up to this and her start,
right?
And then if you're interested in Two-Face being the main villain, would be Long Halloween after that.
Definitely. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, perfect. All right.
I mean, Long Halloween doesn't necessarily tie.
And if you just if you like the idea of if you want a really good kind of mystery, detective Batman story, Long Halloween's a really good one. That incorporates a lot of the rogues in it, and it's just it's an engaging story. So it's a good one. It's a good one.
Well, and it's a good one if you're interested in Two-Face, because
especially if you're interested in Two-Face. Yeah, it's it's like the primary. I would say the top Two-Face story. Probably.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely intrigued too with what you're saying. To read Batgirl Year One, just because of the introduction I've gotten through Tynan's current stuff, plus Tom Taylor's current stuff right now, getting a little glimpse of Oracle and things like that. I know
is Batgirl coming out monthly right now, or is only Nightwing coming out?
No, they're getting ready to start a
Batgirl or something.
Batgirls.
Okay.
Batgirls. So basically, Barbara is where they ended right now is she can still walk, but her chip is not that's restored her ability to walk.
Right.
Not working the best. So she's sort of back in the Oracle role.
Gotcha.
So the book's going to follow her guiding Steph and Cass as the Batgirls. Is what the book's going to be about. But it hasn't come out yet. I think
we got to bring her back as Batgirl at some point, right?
She's actually in the costume occasionally still, but just not full time.
The fear state stuff. I mean, not to put big spoilers out, but the fear state stuff, she's essentially back for certain reasons.
You mean
in the suit?
Future state or fear state?
Sorry, Fear State.
Fear State. What's Fear State?
The current Nightwing part of Fear State. She's going
to okay, that's a story.
It's from Tynan's like big story arc
within Nightwing and
within Batman. It's really the Batman.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I gave up on the Tynion Batman run. Was not enjoying it, so I stopped.
Yeah. It's kind of part of it.
They're having a crossover right now with all the Batman books. That's based on the Batman story.
Yeah.
That's Fear State, and so the Nightwing part of that, she's in costume.
Yeah.
Got it.
So she's not retired, but she's spending more time as Oracle now than as Batgirl.
Yeah. So I mean, I know we focused more on story on this episode, and I said it up top that I wasn't as big of a fan of the art on this compared to the Batgirl Year One Marcos Martin artwork. I don't really have any other. I don't really have any other parallel to compare it to as far as art. Wasn't very familiar with this penciler's body of work. I believe this is the only thing I've ever read by him. So so I don't know. I don't have much to say. I just found it to be kind of middle of the road and not.
I would agree with that. I mean, even looking like we always usually pick our covers, and I think
I don't even know on this the covers.
Well, so like cover number 1.
I'd probably go with number 2. I guess is that the Two-Face one.
The Two-Face is the number 2, which is that one.
Yeah, I just I'm just partial to Two-Face, so I guess I would go with that one.
I actually think I prefer the third one with him with the two of them in costume and him walking away, except for his cape that it's straight up in the air.
His what? Oh yeah,
I'm not feeling the cape. I'm not feeling the cape.
Yeah, the cape ruins that for me a little bit.
It's a little,
and then
very windy.
Otherwise, I like that one. So I would say probably you're right. Probably the Two-Face one's probably the best one.
Erection right there. Sorry, is that inappropriate? Anyway.
Yeah, some midnight action there.
It's like, why is this cape blowing straight up in the air and Batman?
Why is it flagpole cape?
It's like, what
is happening? Yeah.
It's like a pop collar. It's what the kids do. It's a pop collar. It was the hip thing to do in middle school. You pop the cape.
I think I agree, Kavi. The second issue cover is the best one.
Well, the other thing too with the second cover is I also like just seeing that you see Robin getting pulled by the shirt basically, and you see I love the blend. Yeah, I think it's good. I think
that's the one out of the 4 that I actually consider a good cover. I think the other ones are just kind of so covers to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair.
So,
but man, I mean, it's really, and the other thing that we normally wrap up this show with is ranking it or whatever, but I can't really rank it. It's just like I can't really rank the Batgirl Year One. It's like it's so specific to a side character that I can't really rank it against like the main Batman story arcs and stuff that we normally rank. So it's it would have to be towards the bottom / middle of the bottom, not necessarily all the way at the bottom kind of thing, but probably middle of the bottom is my guess.
I mean, I probably
we've done 28 of these at this point, which 28 is like an insane amount to rank. It's like every time, so it's like
I would probably put it kind of somewhere in the middle, toward the bottom of the middle. I think instead of toward the middle of the bottom, somewhere in the 10 to 20ish range is probably where.
Yeah, I would put it in the. I'd probably put it in the middle of the bottom. Personally.
Yeah. So I think.
Not that
a lot of the stuff that's toward the bottom, I don't particularly like that well.
Once you read like 30 something Batman stories, it's like there's a lot there.
It's got to be hard. It's got to be hard, especially when you're reading some really epic ones. As someone new to this stuff, I definitely would give this, if I was just giving it a rating out of 10, I personally really enjoyed it, like a 9. I think I would give this book, but I think a big part of it is just my experience with it, with the character, and my lack of knowledge based on just jumping into the current Tom Taylor.
I would give it maybe like a 7 or something,
I think that's fair.
I'd be a little more generous than Kavi. I think it's 7.5, maybe an 8. I'd have to think about it a little bit.
You're a much bigger Dick Grayson fan, so I think your 7.5/8 speaks more volumes than my 7. You know what I mean? That you like it, but it's not like mind-blowingly the greatest, greatest Nightwing or Dick Grayson story that you've ever come across. I would,
Yeah, so I would probably put it. Looking at this, and it looks like the last time I ranked was a little while ago. I haven't put because I have them down, but I only have 25 stories on here. So
yeah. Well, the last few have been kind of like side stories. Really.
Well, I just haven't updated it.
Right.
I mean,
I think like the last 3 have been kind of like off the beaten path.
No, we did whatever happened to the Cape Crusader before that.
I feel like that was kind of off the beaten path too, a little bit.
It was a little bit. It was a little.
It wasn't
weird.
really a straightforward Batman story.
When you sent me the list, I glanced at the list and I'm like, all right, I know a lot of these, but let me think of things I've heard of. And I'm like, oh, this is a good one. I go look, I'm like, oh damn, it's on there. I'm like, oh, I remember people talking about this one. What about this? And I'm looking, I'm like, damn, that's on there. And literally that 6 times.
Speaking of that, I think the next one we're doing is Dark Knight Returns. Finally, I think is what we decided on.
Are we gonna do it? I don't know. We've been just putting it off forever.
I mean, it would be the only chance to do it before getting to the 30th episode, where we could have a crazy rank free for all.
So yeah,
without Dark Knight Returns on the list, it's hard to have a true ranking discussion.
This is true. I think we need to do Dark Knight Returns.
We have to do it now. We're kind of hands are being forced to do it.
Yeah, because we're wanting to do, and we'll ask you to be a part of that, at least in some role. We haven't decided exactly how we're going to do it, but we're going to have everybody that's been on a panel come back, and we're going to try to rank them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, for the 30th one. Yeah.
For our 30th episode, and go back through some of our favorite stuff. But yeah.
We're on 28. This is your episode 28, right? I think.
Yeah. So the next one, like I said, is our last shot at including the Dark Knight Returns, Frank Miller book, which we've been avoiding. We started with Year One, but that is the other book that goes along with Year One. That's a must-read Batman story. So.
It's been interesting because it's been a long time since I read Dark Knight Returns. I'm curious after reading all of these. I read it actually
earlier this year again, probably for the 20th time. So I'll read it. I will definitely read it again prior to the show. But yeah, I think I've read it pretty recently.
I mean, my memory says for me it's 3rd, which is for me Year One.
Yeah. For me, it's 2. For me, it's number 2, and it's Year One, Dark Knight Returns, then Long Halloween. But yeah, that's
I think is my recollection of where I would put it, but I need to read it again. So
if you haven't read it in a while, it definitely your impression of that one certainly could change.
Yeah. So I would put this somewhere in the middle. Probably, I would put it below Batgirl Year One, because I think there's just more character development for her.
Yeah,
in that story arc. Because they really just take her first appearance in Tech 359 and just basically make a 9-issue miniseries out of it, expand that whole tale to tell her,
which never happened back then. Yeah.
And instead of just the brief little snippet we get there of her and Killer Moth and stuff, and that introduces her. So I think I think it's better than this one, but I do really enjoy this. But I'm completely biased too. So there you go.
Well, to some degree, we're both biased, but your biases lie a lot more into the Dick Grayson world than mine. So yeah. So yeah.
All right, well,
thanks, Justin.
Man.
Final thoughts before we wrap this up, man.
Just really appreciate having me on. This was something I kind of didn't think I'd ever be on the show, this particular show, just because of how my short history of what I've been reading. But I'm glad that I've jumped into a lot more DC recently. Really enjoying the new stuff, and I've started to go back and reading some of the old stuff. I read Swamp Thing, Alan Moore's stuff recently.
That's an awesome run. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I'm I'm exploring and going through stuff. So a lot of these Batman books that you guys are naming, I actually just started reading Snyder's Court of Owls.
Good one too. Yeah.
So I never read that. That was something that was on my list that I first thought. I'm like, oh, maybe when you guys asked what I want to read,
we have covered that,
and that was on there. Yeah.
It's really good.
So that's on my list. So,
that Gotham Knights video game that they're basing around that whole thing that they just released a trailer for it or whatever. It looks pretty fun to me. Yeah, it looks pretty epic. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I might have to buy a new system.
I might have to. I was like, wait, it's not gonna be on PS4 or Xbox, whatever the last Xbox is, because I don't have one of the newer.
Well, I bought
a PS3 right now.
I bought an Xbox 360 just so I could play Arkham City. So
right. I have an Xbox. I have an Xbox 360, a PS4, and a whatever the Xbox One was in between the current one and 360. Xbox One, I guess. Yeah. The Xbox is like the most confusing naming convention for a video game.
They've had no consistency in how they.
No, it's all over the place. But yeah, I'm always like one generation behind, like at all times, like you know. Yeah. So when the games start coming out on only the current system, that's when I feel like totally like worthless as a new video game guy. It's like, well, I can't get anything, you know.
Well, I just don't hardly play them very much anymore, so
neither do I.
But if that one comes out, I'll probably have to get that.
I'm gonna have to make an exception on that one. Try to put some time in.
I'll just watch someone else play it on Twitch or something like that.
There you go. Yeah, you could always do that.
Hey. Shuli.
It's time for us to wrap it up, but thanks for hopping in.
Thank you for hopping in.
Wife of Bat just read that she happened to just be reading this, didn't even know that we were also reading this.
Instagram,
yeah, and I was like, oh, you got to swing by and check this out. Yeah, Shuli, you got to make sure catch the replay. It's fun. It was fun.
Yes.
All right, well, we're gonna get out of here. I want to thank Justin for joining us. Kavi, you got anything you want to talk about before we get out of here?
No, I don't know.
No original art hour coming up or anything?
I got nothing planned. Kind of on a, I'm just trying to recover from some injuries without getting all the way into it. So kind of taking it easy. I might go hop on live randomly sometime this week to finally do my New York Comic Con haul, like 2 weeks late because I wasn't able to do it because I was just not feeling good at all. So, I think I'm finally feeling okay enough to do that. So I'll do that at some point.
A couple different things happen, so
yeah, exactly.
You're feeling better. So
thanks. But other than that, I don't know. Okay. Catch me on Instagram or whatever. I think I was right before this show started. I was 1 subscriber away from 1,100, which I know that's not like a major milestone, but I got to 1,000 subscribers like early in the year, and then I stopped being as active, so it's taken me like the rest of 2021 to gain 100 subs, which is kind of pathetic, but what are you gonna do,
Hey, well,
yeah.
You got quite a bit more than that on Instagram, so
yeah, I'm good with being an Instagram guy at this point.
Yeah.
So.
Nice.
Sounds like my life. Just don't know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Justin, you only had 2 shows tonight. Well, you got 3 tomorrow night.
Yeah.
What do you got, man?
I don't know. It's funny. I was listening to JB's, Discovery Bay just came back and he started showing like all the different videos that coming up.
I haven't been able to watch it, but I need to.
Yeah, he's like 2 days in, and we sent him Omni X-Men, and I went back and watched it, and he's like, so it looks like John and No Good, they're doing this X-Men show. It's great. Go check it out. And then later he brought your show up, and he's like, and it looks like special guest No Good. Going back to back. This guy's like everywhere. It's been a while since I did a back to back, but this Saturday I'm taking off my Origins show because I'm going to be in Baltimore. So if anybody's going to be in Baltimore for the con there, I'll be there to hang out all week. Well, Saturday and maybe some of Sunday.
Maybe as you too.
But otherwise, just Omni X-Men's up and kicking again, and just having fun with the Origin stuff. So, but you can reach out to me on Instagram. Anybody want to talk?
Okay. Well, I originally said I was going to have like a bunch of shows this week, and 2 of them have been rescheduled already. So
shoot.
We didn't do Monsters earlier tonight. We didn't. Die is not happening this week now. So.
Oh man.
Have my weekend stuff this weekend, and the 6-month look back and all the stuff I do on the weekends, and then I think the next one now, the books are in the other room, will be next Monday. We're doing Lock and Key volumes 2 and 3 again. So,
nice.
So looking forward to that. So that'll be the next indie show I do. And at some point, Kavi and I will get Dark Knight Return scheduled. And
I guess that would be the next one on the list.
That'll be the next Gotham City Chronicles. So
that's the only show that I know I'm going to be doing moving forward.
There you go.
There you go. Mark your calendars.
Like a month and a half.
45 to 60 days.
Yeah.
2022, here we come.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next time.